For some reason, when I'm at home, it's harder to keep myself reading. But if I'm traveling, say to my sister-in-law's wedding, somehow it's easier to pick up a book and immerse myself in another world. I don't know if that's because I don't have access to my TV or if traveling keeps me more mindful, but either way, I'd be a fool not to take advantage. So come with me as I travel and read and have many thoughts about books. I do have plans today. A friend is coming over that I won't get to see for a while, and I haven't seen for a while because we've both been going to weddings. So I need to get some reading done today. It's been a few days since I've read Ancillary Justice. You will also remember this from my reading the first chapter of every book that I own video. And you can see I've been saying I'm 2/5 of the way through. I think that's accurate. I'm almost halfway through. And this is a really interesting book so far. It's very sci-fi, and I have not read a lot of sci-fi historically. I watch a lot of sci-fi because I was a Star Trek kid. My thoughts on it so far are that it is very well written. It has very good concepts and a highly motivated, very different from myself main character, but a very explicitly defined main character. Although the book is in two timelines, so there's the present where this AI used to be the AI of this big ship and this big fleet, and now they are just able to occupy one body. And then there's a flashback timeline where presumably you're going to figure out how they became limited to one body. That's my theory. I'm not sure. It could also be why their goal in the present timeline is their goal. So there's a lot of stuff we're still trying to figure out. I really do love non-chronological books, and I do understand how it's very interesting to keep a mystery alive and not just exposit or just inform the audience of the main character's entire motivations. That does make sense to me, and I do think it makes for a compelling read. But it means that until I haven't reached that threshold point of a roller coaster where you finally hit the top and go over the edge and go, oh my god, the buildup was all worth it. I haven't reached the tipping point yet, so I don't even know 100% could I recommend this book to someone else. But so far it's good, but whether or not the whole thing is good is going to rely on reaching a big moment that makes you go, oh my god, that was so satisfying. And we're not there yet, and I would like to get there. So yeah, let's read this book. My friend and I ended up going out for some delicious pastries, and when she headed home, I kept reading until... So, the roller coaster, it happened. We hit the tipping point. I'm a little over halfway through now. I feel like only books could make me feel like this. It was dawning horror. I knew chapters ago this must be where this was headed. It's good. The plotting and payoff, the characters, the writing, it makes you feel. It's so well done. I don't know in this moment if we are caught up to the present timeline or not. They're just gonna skip the intervening 20 years. I don't know. But I really have to keep going. There are 2 more books in this series. Oh god, so not everything is going to be revealed. Okay, well, the only way out is through. Okay, it's about 6 p.m. I finished it. I finished Ancillary Justice. It's a pretty satisfying arc in the book by itself. There is still room for the other 2 books, so that's good. I'm going to think about it a while more. I'll tell you about my thoughts tomorrow, once I figure out how not to spoil anything for you. I do think you should read it. It's a pretty fun, good book. Good morning. I have decided how I feel about Ancillary Justice. Overall, I really like it. I think it's a really interesting, good, complex book. Some cool timeline playing, some really great metaphors, themes. It does a really good exploration of the concept of identity and hiding things from yourself and facets of a person's identity through the lens of an AI, which I think is really cool. There's obviously, because of the pronoun situation where the language and society that the main character comes from don't use bunny. No, come back, my viewers. bunny ran away. Anyway, there's some interesting gender exploration that's just sort of in the background because the main character's language uses she, her pronouns as the default. It's very interesting how that impacts how I picture the characters. As a woman, I actually really appreciated it. It's really cool just to have that vibe of like, everyone's a woman, and then to be like, oh yeah, no, actually this character's a man. And it actually really makes me wonder why it even matters. Like, all the characters still will be communicating the same way. Anyway, I'm not gonna spoil anything. I do think ultimately the buildup was worth the rest of the ride. I think I'm like a little unsatisfied in that I really want to read the sequel kind of way, which luckily I already have it. Let's do this. I promise this is not gonna just be an Ancillary Justice or Ancillary, I don't know, what's the name of the series? I promise this is not going to just be a vlog of this series. There will be more books, I promise. But I am going to start reading this one right now. Wow. 2 chapters, 2 pretty quick chapters of like setup for this, but like some real good build up, and then right away, boom, here's how something is totally different from the previous book. I am impressed. I am excited. This is a great lesson in sequels. I'm really interested with how these books so far have dealt with the concept of identity, and this book seems to be straying a little bit into the idea of belonging and leadership. And the first book dealt with leadership in a very abstract, secondary way, and this way is taking it on a bit more. It's very interesting to me. It's possible I picked too many books to pack. I don't care. Today has been a lot of packing and driving, but I'm finally getting some reading done on a bathroom and car gas up stop. This is such a different story than the first book, but it is so interesting. And like, I've watched television shows where like people are in charge, like Star Trek comes to mind, obviously this is a sci-fi novel, but I feel like I've never really understood the like being tough sort of thing, but it plays so well here. And there's so many interesting moving parts the main character is dealing with. I am a little nervous about what's gonna happen next because of some stuff that's just happened. I had done some reading in the car before it got dark and reading right now before bed, and my current thoughts are that this book is so radically different in setting and goal and even the chronology of the storytelling, in that the first book had the 2 different timelines, this one is one solid timeline, but the author really artfully still makes it feel like it belongs together, that this is just the next evolution. One of the ways it does that is instead of playing with chronology, it does a very clever, technically not a point of view change, but basically a point of view change. And then also things that were just kind of facts in the first book, the annexation, the colonization of planets, it was just sort of like background characterization of the Raj, and in this they're really analyzing sort of the ethics of this and investigating how essentially an empire can be easily corrupted because it's hard to keep your eye everywhere. Anyway, I'm tired, so I will see you tomorrow. Okay, I did think of something else that I could say about this book without spoiling. In the first book, the like little misgenders of like the main character, everything's gender neutral in their language, so they use she, her pronouns the whole time. Like that comes up a few times. And in this book, it's kind of addressed once in the beginning. It feels like to let the audience know we know what's going on. And then it's never brought up again. And that makes me sad because the nuances of gender across languages and species, I thought would be really cool to talk about, and so far, and I'm 2/3 of the way through the book maybe, hasn't come up. Anyway, we're driving down to the Airbnb for the venue soon, so I don't know how much reading I'm gonna get done before then. So we are on our way to the Airbnb/rehearsal venue, and I finished the book, and I know I was feeling very positive about it most of the way through. I can't help but have that feeling of like, that was a book. And I don't know, I do think if you know you're doing a trilogy, you know you're not gonna have like a huge final confrontation till the end. Like, I get that that's hard to handle, but this book had so much build up for very little payoff, I would say. And I don't want this to be a vlog just about the Ancillary Justice series, so I think, oh man, I just finished this book and all my other books are packed in the suitcase. Gosh, darn it. Okay, well, I'm gonna read a different book instead of the third book next, is my point, although it doesn't matter, at least for the next 2.5 hours. We finished the rehearsal. We did a nice little get together with the whole wedding party. And now I'm in bed. And before I fall asleep exhausted on this Airbnb mattress, I'm gonna start Hounded again. I remember liking the first chapter and thinking that it felt kind of like the Dresden Files. So let's see if that continues or if I fall asleep reading it, which in this state would not be a slight against the book. I forgot to film what I thought about this book, so I'm going to tell you about it while you look at the various animals that visited our Airbnb. The book was good, and I finished it fairly quickly. It tells the story of a druid going by the name of Atticus and his interactions with various deities of the Irish and other pantheons, as well as witches, werewolves, one vampire, and his neighborhood humans. I'm a little curious, if a little wary, about where this series might end up going, so I might read the sequel someday. If you need an entertaining book that you don't think too deeply about, this would be a fine one to choose. Good morning. We are in the Airbnb for now, but soon we are heading to the venue to get the entire thing set up. I am very excited for my sister-in-law's wedding, and you know, just for when I need a little bit of a break, I decided to bring the 24-hour bookstore book because I figure that this will be chill, and the most emotions it'll make me feel are like intense happiness, because sourdough made me cry, so maybe this one will too, and those are good emotions for a wedding day. I'm definitely gonna take at least 10 minutes at some point just to calm down. After setup was done, I did manage to get 10 minutes of reading in, although this book didn't really grab me. And the wedding was absolutely beautiful. I cried a ton. I'm reading Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore, and I have read the second book by this author, which also takes place in San Francisco and also involves programming. So this book is about, I guess, a graphic designer is probably the best way to talk about him, except for he knows how to code a little bit. At first, he just mentions that he had coded like a website for a company that he did graphic design for, and I was like, cool, okay, that's fine. The narrator Clay just started to narrate things about different software languages, which seem to be accurate, but don't seem to be something that a graphic designer or a UX person would know. I feel a little dubiously about that. I'm pretty sure at this point that the author is a computer scientist, and that's probably why in the next book, Sourdough, which I've read, and you can watch the video where I talk about that. But yeah, the main character in Sourdough is just straight up an engineer. I think she works with AI. So it's very interesting to me that for this one, he went, no, he can't be a software engineer. But he can be a UX designer who just also knows how to code and knows a lot about coding. So the main character is visiting Google, and okay, this book was published in 2012, and I didn't start working for Google until 2015. That being said, I did go on a tour of Google in 2008, and yeah, this guy is just inventing stuff. He says that they have like individually determined like diets like per person, so visitors need to like get in line for a completely different. No, there's no personalized nutrition at Google. There's no graph paper on the table. Apparently, product management is a thing that you get like randomly assigned no matter who you are. No, that's not how it works. Product managers are their own people. Why not just invent a new company name? Why say Google? I'm going to try to compartmentalize this because the rest of the book has been fun. We checked into a bed and breakfast in Olympia. It's like this old, almost Victorian style building. It's really cute. And they have a collection of Sherlock Holmes books downstairs. So I think I'm going to make a real push to finish the 24-hour bookstore tonight so that tomorrow morning before breakfast I can read a Sherlock Holmes mystery. So I finished it. I'm kind of disappointed, which is interesting because upon reflection, it's extremely similar to Sourdough, and I don't know if reading Sourdough ruined this book for me, because ultimately, while both feel a little magical, they are very much set in the real world, if a real world where Google is different from real Google. Anyway, and so I think the fact that I knew that ruined the mystery a little bit, and that's not as big of a deal in Sourdough as it is for this one. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a debut novel by this author, because it feels a little less like it knows what it's doing. Sourdough felt more confident. I think that's okay. And it does make me feel a little bit like, well, my debut is probably going to be the worst one I write. And that's kind of a good thing, because imagine if the first book you write is the best book you write. I enjoyed it. I do enjoy Robin Sloan's writing style, but I would skip this one and read Sourdough instead. After a delicious breakfast and starting a new book that wasn't Sherlock, we went exploring and found a used bookstore. Shayna from the future here, and I thought I would give you a nice little book haul of what I bought from Last Press Books. First of all, I got another Anne Rinaldi book. This one is called Broken Days. It's part of the Quilt trilogy. I'm not sure what that is. I picked this up because whenever I go to a used bookstore, I look for 3 authors: Tamora Pierce, Garth Nix, William Sleater, and Anne Rinaldi. So when I found a new Anne Rinaldi book that I had never heard of before, I thought, hey, why not? It's like $2. I can afford that. The second book I got is called the Tassajara Bread Book. I was just really fascinated with how old and interesting it looked, and it seems almost like a philosophy of bread book. Like, it has notes written in there, there's illustrations. I mean, it definitely also has recipes in here. I thought maybe I'd get back into bread baking since it had been a while. So I thought I'd get it. And then last, okay, I heard about Franklin Press Books from my cousin-in-law like 3 years ago, and every time I go to a used bookstore, I check to see what Franklin or there's another one, but to see, you know, which of these fancily bound books they have available. And I told myself, since they're so expensive, that I would only buy ones that meant something to me, that were representational somehow. So like, I've seen tons, but they're never ones that I actually like know. Like, the closest I think I ever got was Frankenstein. But I was looking in the drama section, like I always do, and I found this. And it is 6 Tragedies by William Shakespeare. And I mean, it's beautiful. It has the gold page edges. It's Romeo and Juliet, Julius Caesar, Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, and Macbeth. And of these, I have read or seen all of them except King Lear. But maybe this will be, you know, what inspires me to finally read it. Oh, and it has some illustrations. Look at that. Oh my God, wait. What's the Hamlet one? Oh, they're really going for the tragedy, aren't they? I'm thrilled with these 3 purchases. I'm really excited. And honestly, the fact that I kept it down to 3 is pretty impressive for me. So I think I'm actually gonna take a little reading break, because much like this delicious chai, this book is kind of intense. Okay, I think this is a quiet corner of the vintage store where there won't be any copyrighted music behind me. I don't think I've ever read a book. That's not true. I was gonna say I don't think I've ever read a book that's made me just like feel for the main character so quickly. And then I realized that I read Iron Widow recently. So those are like top 2 in the case of like, here's the main character, here is who they are, here is how they are motivated, or almost in this one, like not even really highly motivated, but just like extremely well defined as a character. And it's just really powerful, and I feel so sorry for Linus, and he seems just like such an earnest dude in a really unempathetic world, and I just want the best for him, and I'm so glad that he is already at the beach in the ocean. And even though I know like the house on the Cerulean Sea, like the orphanage, like I know it's gonna be a lot for him, I'm sure it is, but I just want him to be happy. I think I'm going to choose a Shakespeare volume that I don't think that I've read or seen a Sherlock BBC episode of. I guess it has to be The Sign of the Four. Is that how clue is supposed to be spelled? There it is again. Clue. Good news. There's no BBC episode of this. Bad news, there was the anime Moriarty Sherlock episode that covered this. I don't remember a lot about it, but what I do remember is I was confused by the solution to the mystery, so maybe this will actually shed some light on things. Hello, you're very cute. I went to a second bookstore, and you know what that means. Time for a second book haul. I mentioned in the last book haul that I'm always looking for 4 authors, the first of which is Tamora Pierce, and I found her. It's not signed. I always check for signed whenever I look at used bookstores, because one time I did get a randomly signed Tamora Pierce book and I still have it in my library and I love it. But this is my favorite of the Alana books, and I don't think I own it in print yet. I know I have a digital copy. Faithful is my favorite Alana character, so I had to get this cover version of it when I saw it at the bookstore. Second up, near checkout, they had the like discounted half off or something books, and I saw this one. It's called Shadow Shaper. I've never read it before, but I read the summary here, and it sounded very fantasy mystery, which is what I am working on. So I thought, oh, this might be an interesting comparison, or at least just good research for the genre, so I bought it. And last, I did buy a new book. I bought The Song of Achilles. I just really, really loved Circe, and this is the one that came before it, and I'm excited to read it, so hopefully it doesn't languish for years like Circe did. Another 3 books, and again, that's not that bad. That's only 6 books for the whole trip. That's pretty reasonable for me. Well, that was a bad book. Like, not only was it problematic, but it was a really bad mystery. I've never been so bored reading a mystery before. Okay, I did some reading. This was only the 2nd Sherlock Holmes book ever written. How did this ever become popular? This was such a bad book. At least I still have House on the Cerulean Sea. That's still going really well. May I pet you, baby? It's been a few days since our trip, and I have finished House on the Cerulean Sea, and I would love to share my thoughts. The first thing is it's just a beautiful, wonderful book, and I love it, and I think everyone should read it. I finally understand why everyone loves TJ Klune so much. There's just something about how he crafts characters and ideas and narratives, and it's just really, really sweet. Honestly, I wish I had written this, and I feel like that's one of the biggest compliments I can give any book. It just really made me feel things. It was beautiful, and I want to read more by this author. Luckily, I do have one of his other books on my bookshelf right now. I loved it, super satisfying. I would give this 5 out of 5 stars easily. Okay, if we're going back through the books that I read, like in reverse order, the book that I read before House on the Cerulean Sea was Sherlock Holmes and the Sign of the Four, and this was like a 1 out of 5 for me. Like, I guess it was a book and there weren't like typos except the weird spelling of clue. Okay, next up was Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. I would give this a 3 out of 5 stars because it wasn't like bad, it just wasn't really that good. And I might be a little biased because I've read Sourdough, but I'm just like, this author can do better than this. So I wouldn't recommend it, but if you're saying you're going to read it, I wouldn't be like, no, don't read that. That's a waste of your time, like I would with The Sign of the Four. I actually would also give Hounded a 3 out of 5. Again, it's not bad, it's just not particularly good. I mean, I didn't even film any of my thoughts about it because none of them particularly sparked anything in me, you know? Then there was Ancillary Sword, the sequel to Ancillary Justice. I would give this one a 4 out of 5. It was a solid book, and I'd probably be giving it a 5 out of 5 up until the climax, which just really let the entire book down. And then Ancillary Justice, I'm gonna give a 4.5 out of 5. It was a really good book. Really great start to the series. It wasn't perfect. There was a lot of confusing parts for me, but because the book was so entertaining and so good and so thought-provoking, I just sort of gave it the benefit of the doubt. So 4.5 feels like the right score there. Those are my thoughts on the books that I read. I can't believe I got 6 books read in like a little over a week. That's really good for me. And I had a really good time reading, really mindful, really good for my mental health. I think I'll probably do this again. If you really like this video, if you like this style of reading vlog video, please comment below and let me know. Give the video a like or subscribe, something like that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again really soon. Cheers!